Okay, so
Okay.
continuing on with our,
And then the last item is the church possible lease of BEC. So I met with them the other day, walked them around, they had
well,
people
yeah,
come in.
the lantern
so-
flies was a
Oh.
last minute addition.
Lantern flies, they're not as bad as they were last year. They're getting worse up at the high school than they were last year. So I've talked to a bunch of people the last couple of weeks, and from what all of the reports are coming back, and maybe Aaron, you've heard different. They feel our environment is not suitable for them for long-term life, that they are going to move on because of that. So we've noticed it at the middle school. We do not have the volume of lanternflies as we did last year. So they didn't want to get carried away this year spraying only because they might be moving on.
Where are they going?
Where's that?
Where are they going?
Somewhere else in
Preston.
other counties. They're going north. Muhlenberg.
So,
I have a bunch at my house now.
Berks County's in bad shape, and right now they're just working on the outside the quarantine area. They've basically given up on the quarantine area,
Yeah.
and I mean they're going to be everywhere. I mean they're already in Jersey. They think they're only in a small spot, but you know they're down 78. I mean there's no way they're not.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're getting lifts from cars and different.
Yeah, yeah,
places.
we're good hitchhikers. I mean, we definitely have a lot of Lanthus up at the high school and between the high school and
Mhm.
Immaculate in that area. So, I mean, I bet you're going to start seeing a lot around the track pretty soon.
We have them. We have them up on the up in the track.
Yeah.
Now, if that guy that sent the email and said there was grant money available was that to spray for him, or is that
I think
to
that's
kill
to
the-
eradicate the trees. That's actually
The
to
tree,
remove the
yeah.
tree of heaven.
Well, if there's grant money, you better jump on it because I haven't heard of anything
Yeah,
for
that's-
the municipality. So
Yeah,
if
that's
they're-
what this was
That's
about.
what he said, but
You take
hear a lot of
you
things,
take
but-
what's drawing them in away.
Yeah, what they want to
Slow
do
down.
is cut down 90% of the trees, and Mike and I were laughing about there's actually a female tree and a male tree, which I never would have known, but the female has the seeds. So you cut down all the female trees and you treat them with an insecticide, and you keep the male trees up and wrap them so they're the trap tree, and then you treat them with the insecticide in the early spring, so when they go and feed, they die.
Right.
But, drive around and look at the Atlantis trees and
Right.
find out what 90% are.
Right,
You're
you're
supposed
right.
to kill them in the fall when they lay the eggs between.
Plus, when you cut them
before the
down,
first freeze.
7 more pop. You got
No.
to.
Well, that's why you got to do the insecticide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because there's stuff that our company put down that's actually a concentrate you mix with a gallon of water and you
Pour it
Yeah,
pour it around the
outside.
base,
Yeah.
and then you pour another
Anytime you
a
see
gallon
it.
around the base, and it's supposed to disperse. The tree soaks it up,
And
and
then
when they
right.
feed on
Yep.
it, they die.
Right.
And that's the same.
That's been
spray.
effective.
Well,
That's
that-
called a systemic.
You should see
Yep.
what
I have-
my lawn looks like, or should my sidewalk underneath my maple that I did with this. I mean, there's lanternflies all over the place,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I treated that back in June.
I have the same thing.
With
They're
that
falling out of the tree.
Double circle treatment?
Hmm?
With that liquid treatment you
Yes.
just described?
Yeah.
And the maple absorbed it that quickly?
Maple absorbed it, and I have a white birch that did too, and there's all over my hot tub. The girls won't even go outside. So because they feed on the sap
Yeah, they're
from the
nasty.
birch.
Yeah, and there again, like I said, what we have at the high school is what we had at the middle school last year, and we don't have that at the middle school this year. I mean, last year at the middle school, I could walk into any door and there was 50 on the wall of the school.
Well, you sprayed in the Amity Park last year, and the next morning it looked like mulch under
Yep.
the trees.
Yeah, and we used that, and we sprayed again. There again, we sprayed again this spring for Japanese beetles. So we think we might have gotten a lot of the young ones as well. So it's twofold. They're definitely moving. Have not seen them as bad over here at the elementary school either. And last year they were awful over here, and we have not sprayed over here at all.
This building on the Route 662 side here, in the when it got warm in the afternoon, they really go for the heat.
Yeah. So we're keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if they do come through with
With the
Grant
grant
money.
money.
grant money,
something.
Yeah, spray away.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, I'll ask the Muhlenberg
Spray.
Parks and Rec if he knows anything too.
or that stuff that the state uses to kill all the grass around.
Are you
like
guys gonna
phone
try and
calls,
eradicate
stuff
the
just,
tree?
Just kill it all.
We're gonna try, but I mean,
Yeah, how do you?
How
Well,
do you
then
go
I'll
out in a 2,000 acre watershed?
Email
and
this
get
lady
90%
back
of
at the
the-
Bureau
You're
of
not gonna
Planning
have-
Industry
you're not
and
going
tell her
to.
to make sure she
Impossible.
adds all
Be
of our
nice for them to
addresses
just
to
come
the
up and
list.
spray like they did for gypsy
That's
mills
all.
back
Okay.
when we were kids.
Right.
Go
All
out
right.
at 2 a.m. and just spray the whole area.
So we'll just keep an eye on that
Yeah.
and see.
Yeah.
Okay, last one was the church group.
Yep.
You sent it to him.
Is it Abundant Life? Is that?
Abundantly. You met with them because they sent me an email.
Yep,
and
I met
told
with them, would have been 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
not last
I
week, the
thought
week
Devin
before.
was coming tonight because he emailed me today.
He,
He
he's actually my
wasn't
cousin,
sure
my
whether
second
he was gonna
cousin,
come
actually.
Florida.
Haven't seen him since he was probably
Discussing it,
13,
anybody
14 years
over his
old.
spot. I said he
But,
could come if he wanted to.
yeah, had a good talk with them, walked them around the building. They explained what their intents were. I explained to them about the youth groups that used it and, some of the things that we can and cannot do with the building in regards to heating and ventilating and that kind of stuff, the areas we can cordon off, areas we, can't do kind of thing. So that afternoon, I left them around 10:30, 11 o'clock. They were there till better part of 3 o'clock walking around with people. So he was going back to his group to compile their thoughts. What they indicated to me was that I believe they thought the lease agreement of $800 a month was a done deal, that was approved. So
How much a month?
800.
Never discussed.
I'm just letting you know that's.
Well, it may have been discussed with
I was
just with the
gonna
person
say,
that doesn't work here anymore.
I was also told, just for full disclosure, I was also told that they did have discussion with somebody that's no longer worked here that agreed on a price to them. And I said to them specifically, I might even have the email, nothing was discussed by the board.
What I explained to them was, what I explained to Devin was.
I would jump on that.
Yeah, what I explained to Devin was,
I'd give it to him for them.
I said, the
Nothing
800 was discussed at our facilities meeting. There was numbers thrown around. Nothing was taken to the full board. Nothing was agreed upon at our facilities meeting. I said, so I'm just letting you know. He goes, we're making plans accordingly because we were told $800 was the number.
1,200 was discussed at the July facilities.
It was,
just
but
gonna say
then
it was-
another number was, I was told by them that another number was floated back to them.
Because the meeting that I had with Kathleen and Jim Harris and this gentleman and another gentleman from the church prior to the July facilities meeting, we had originally come up with a number of 2,000 and then they adjusted square feet. And they came
Came back with 1,200.
came back with 1,200 at that meeting, and that's what we presented at the
I remember
July
hearing that.
facilities.
Yeah.
Anything subsequent to that?
Yeah, we can't.
I wasn't
And
a
there was
part
We
of
can't.
it.
There's no way we can't comment on a conversation we weren't privy to.
That's
Right.
And that person had no authority to make any promises or any commitment for the district. So I feel if they're that conversation, and I have no reason to doubt that
I
did.
understand what you're saying.
I feel bad because they
Right.
weren't bargaining in good faith because that
And
person.
it's a good
didn't-
tenant, but I always wonder why we do anything without like some form of net. I've never leased a building without having to be responsible for some of the repair of some sort. But I know it's a church,
Well,
though,
no,
too.
I
mean,
think
there's a difference, but
And again, you guys are part of the discussion, so
Heat and
you
electric,
can correct
none of
me if
that
I'm
stuff.
wrong, but
I
I
mean-
think they were talking about even doing some repairs or maintenance
do
or
some
something.
type of an
General.
exchange.
General, after
And
I
just
spoke with
some-
them
right,
the other day,
Yeah.
it was general
So I think
repairs.
maybe
Right.
you
General.
guys sit down and have another conversation.
Yeah,
with them. I
I-
mean, I'm very
I have no-
biased.
I've
in
never
this. I'm gonna
talked-
be, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying
I-
to stay as far.
I think it's a good
away
tenant
as
opportunity. I
because
do.
I'm going to lowball them on purpose because I want them in there. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Hold on. Maybe we found out who was talking to him.
no, I would.
I'm kidding. I'm
No.
kidding.
I certainly I'm not against an outside
Yeah,
group,
yeah.
Right.
using a building that we're not. However, I don't want to write them a check every month either.
Right.
And
And I think they understand that.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I've already had a couple of people ask me who've heard about this possibility, well, what's going to happen with our son or daughter's basketball games?
Right.
Because they're held there.
Right.
So I think there's other events like a craft show and stuff. But
Who sits down and kind of figures all that out?
But,
What's
I
happened in
had
the past?
asked-
What's going to happen in the future for the building? to sit down and craft something like that, that's a lot of work.
I was just trying to get to the point where I understood what the costs are.
Right.
Of what that space actually costs the district to operate. Because we all know, just keeping it minimally heated, minimally air conditioner, whatever you want to call it, there's not going to be a lot of electricity, not a lot of water usage. But then when somebody occupies that space, there's going to be.
Difference between 362, what we had last year, what we have in the budget for 18-19 when we brought it down, we're only thinking about 180,000.
To operate the building.
To operate the building.
And
Now,
as a percentage of that building cost, what's the space as a percentage of the overall building?
Well, according to the GCA contract, which took their numbers from the Thompson study, there's 119,317 square feet in the
Sounds about
building,
right.
which would be all
That's-
floors.
That's including everything from the office all the way to the gym.
That's total square footage
Of the whole building?
of the whole building.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What they're looking at, and we use this map the day they met with us, is 15,840 square feet.
Now, what is their idea with the gym? I was a little confused on that.
Their idea with the gym is that's where they want to put their sanctuary.
Okay.
So that would be their sanctuary. So they
Tear
They
down.
more or less told me that they were not willing to put it up and take it down all the time for the weekend basketball or evening basketball. They were
That's a total
told
change from the meeting
by
we had.
somebody. They were told by somebody. I don't know who. I don't think it was anybody school related that the youth group was talking to the Y about moving into the Y for the basketball. I said, well, I don't think so. I said, because that court's so small, from what I understand from talking to
There's no parent space.
from
You can't play.
Jeff,
Right.
from JD Sports, because he was asking about to refinish the floor. Who would I use and stuff like that. And he was just telling me about how small the gym is. I've never been in there, so I said I highly doubt
What
the
do we
youth
make
group.
off the basketball? Do we know?
I
Nothing.
looked at nothing because I looked
Nothing's
through
our
it
youth
for the
group.
last
It's a
2 years
service.
to see if there was any revenue.
Yeah,
So if you're getting something, I mean,
it's a community.
It's a community
It's
group.
a
That's
community
paid.
group there.
The
so
only
don't
time
even
they
have to
pay,
the youth, they don't even have to pay the. I know other groups have. We've had
But
to
we,
waive
as
fees.
a church, we met at Westmont when Westmont bought it from O&J at the time. It's just part of what you got to do. Nobody wants to do it, but you got to tear down your sanctuary. Put the
Yeah,
chairs
I
up.
mean, I
You're there
think
for
so.
Sunday. The rest of the week, the building's open for use. I mean,
I
that's
mean, we did
just,
tear down and set up for a long time.
it's
but
really not hard.
I know what they're thinking. They're looking for something with a little bit more.
Right.
'Cause nobody wanted to do it.
Nobody
and
wants
I
to do it,
think
yeah.
if they could,
There's a
I-
lot
if
of
I was,
basketball over there.
if I was in their shoes, I'd not want to do it either.
Absolutely,
But,
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know,
Maybe the
that's
cafeteria is a
decision
better
where-
option for them in terms of being able
And
to
that's
get the
what they
sanctuary
said
going.
that day. Because that's where
Because that's what
they-
I thought originally they were talking about the
yeah,
cafeteria, not
that's
the
where they
gym.
wanted to do
Because there's
the
a stage
renovation.
there and everything.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what they were going to put
That's
up.
what
for
I
That
the
should be their
office.
option.
Now, is that, did you say they're talking about that the other day?
The day we met and they offered the $1,200,
Okay.
which was the only meeting I ever had with them,
Okay.
they said they were going to use the cafeteria
The
for
sanctuary.
the sanctuary, and they wanted to do some structural modifications around the platform to make it more.
Appealing.
Yep.
Right.
And that made sense, because the gym would still be the gym.
Right.
But
It's not affected by it.
apparently they've changed that.
and they just said their needs have changed the way they wanted to do it. So and there again, I let them do their thing. I let them walk around, and I said, I'll take everything to facilities and just
I
let
think
them.
you guys should meet with them again and see why they moved off of the cafeteria. Because I think if faced with the decision of keeping it up and not having to set up and tear down, if you can do it in that room, that's certainly an option other than
Absolutely.
That's a
Well,
big
how big
plus
is their
for 'em, yeah.
congregation? Because what about the area over in the library?
they'd be too big for that.
Well, that's too big for
Right. How many people?
Because they have
do you
that
know?
sides.
I'm not sure, but I know their current size that they're at is bigger than that library. So
Okay.
I'm sure they're bigger
They're
than,
going to move the whole business on.
100 people?
probably a little more, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the other concern is, snow removal.
Well, that's what I discussed with him.
So
I had a conversation with him, and I told him, I said, the one concern is that my budget for next year only considered $2,500. Last year, we spent about $22,000 on snow removal. but we only moved that down to 2,500 because we only need to do an emergency route. Now, he was told by somebody that we still have to clear it, but we don't have to clear it the same way, is the way I explained it to him. The reason we only put 2,500 in the budget is Casey has a truck with a plow in the front.
You're just making
and
a
Casey
pass-through.
We're
I
just
was
making a
gonna-
pass-through
yeah.
for emergency. We're not going through on Sundays and clearing
Right.
sidewalks and doing that kind
Right,
of,
And
so
see,
it'd
that'd
be on
be-
them.
that would have to be on them, and that was a realization to him
insurance
during that
liabilities
conversation.
and plowing.
But I did tell him
Okay.
that.
Has to
Well-
be worked out. I'm sure it's going to be.
Yeah, I
okay.
think to Mr. Durso's point, I think
Yeah.
the administration that you guys are charged with having this conversation with them, and, you know, make them aware of the costs involved, and we would, you know, at least in my opinion, since I live in the borough, I would really like to keep that gym available to the groups, because, you know, all my kids played there, a lot of people in the
My kids
neighborhood,
still
kids
do.
play there.
Yeah.
I think it's a service to the community that we should continue, you know, but that's just me.
No, I mean, I'd love to see the church in there and utilizing the space too, and us working with them. But yeah, I mean, the youth basketball's been there since
I mean,
our kid, like you said, our
And
kids
again,
played.
I like the church, but $1,200 a month, and we cover all the utilities. I mean, it's just really not a great deal for us at all. I mean, considering, but it's still a good,
Well,
it's a good thing to do, and
yeah.
I want to do it. It's not that I don't want to
Well,
do it. I'm just saying I'd prefer,
we're not in the
I prefer
business.
it to be occupied than not. I think that's
Right.
there's a
But-
benefit to that.
I think
but,
you're heating it regardless, and cooling it
but
regardless.
the, not to
At
that
a
level
lower
though.
level.
Different
Right.
level though.
But if you have somebody else in there, you're bringing it up, so you're looking at it like,
Understand.
what,
But it's a good thing. I mean, it
$2 per
really is a
square
good thing.
foot.
If we can work out the gym thing where we can keep the stuff that's already in there going
And the
And,
good thing is the smaller chiller, the one chiller of the three is for the gymnasium, the offices, the library,
right.
and I think the majority of kind of the admin area.
Right.
So
Right.
it's very easy to kind of separate that side of it and the school side.
I'd have to rework that.
Okay, well, again, just, we'll continue the conversation with them on an
Yeah.
official capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
always
apologize
obviously
if they did talk with Jim, you know, Jim overspec, you know, if that's what happened, sorry, but, start over.
Yeah, and I made no promises, so everybody knows.
No, I made him very
It's a
aware of
good-
what the
yeah,
conversation
it
was
is.
in regards to the amount,
It's going in.
you know, kind of thing. So,
Oh my God, it's not here.
Well, we have some more time. Do you have anything else?
Back to
Oh.
Casey's original deal, GCA contract clearly speaks to summer cleaning to be coordinated by their head building custodian is responsible for coordinating it. I don't know who the head building custodian for this building is. Next question is, 80,500 square feet is called out for this building. Is there 80,500 in the?
That's the whole building.
This footprint?
It's the whole building.
Okay, so we're not back to nitpicking square foot. They haven't measured and said, no, that's not our responsibility. So it's very clear in the GCA contract. There's nothing in the River Rock contract that calls for any summer cleaning. All they're responsible for is their daily routine maintenance, emptying the trash, et cetera.
Right.
So it's
So we have
clearly
a-
GCA responsibility to be coordinated by their building supervisor, but summer cleaning is called out.
And think about it, we're only asking them to clean from the calf down. We didn't ask them to do a summer clean in our office. We didn't ask them to do any summer clean upstairs, downstairs, or anywhere. It
It
was
does
just,
speak
should.
specifically to summer cleaning.
right. That's what I thought I saw too, and I just wanted to make
We've
sure.
accepted them not having enough people too and still paid the bill.
No, they're just, it's really
That-
not a
that's
question
been
of
an
the
excuse for them,
people.
but we don't have
They're
enough
just,
people. Yeah.
they're just not managed. They have
Right.
no management
No management,
capability,
yeah.
in my opinion.
I agree.
Again, they've demonstrated that consistently over the course of the 2 years or 3 years that they've been
Nothing's
here.
changed since that guy came in at all. It got worse.
No, just
Yeah.
another person whose promises got broken.
Yep, exactly.
And
The
the
underside-
third knucklehead that's been here.
The underside of the hand dryers, just and Lauren, I've been complaining about this for 2 years. The nooks and crannies of the block, they don't clean it. So there's black and there's gray and there's dirt in there. Their custodians actually told Melanie Hefter, the principal at the primary, that that's the way they're going to be because they can't clean that. When I'm with her, she tells me this. So I walked over the custodial cart, I grabbed a toilet brush and their cleaning products. I sprayed the wall in front of her. I said, I'm going to show you how hard this is. And I went like this, went over, got the paper towel, wiped it off, and she goes, oh my God, that comes clean. Their staff's actually believing that they don't have to clean the spaces, that that's acceptable. I have a couple pictures on my phone that are just absolutely repulsive.
But you definitely have documentation and you've asked them to do these things, especially this summer, because that'll be key. Because obviously, it seems like not good job was done at any of the schools. As long as we have the documentation, I think that helps us move forward with
Yeah,
not paying.
You can't remedy
you
it
don't
now,
pay.
it's
I
too
mean,
late.
that's it.
we made it very clear to Mike Burns that when he got here, it was a 1.5-year audition. So,
Yeah.
I told him the last time he was out here, if he stands up before us again, that's it.
yeah, so,
So,
all right. Well, I don't think we need to
Well, it's a-
beat the dead horse anymore on that issue.
If you're
But,
gonna,
but I think we need to also go back and hammer them with the contract, and extract money out of them or not pay them, hire another outfit to come in there and clean up what they don't, whatever they're not doing. We have that right.
We notified them per contract by the 30th of May, technically. We gave them their 30-day notice that they didn't have to handle Birdsboro effective July 1, therefore there's going to be a reduction in staff. That was per contract. So now, if you're going to go this direction, your solicitor needs to send them a letter and say, per contract, we have the right to find other means. That's an object for this.
And also,
We gotta think
what's, while we're looking at this, Kathy or Lauren, whoever's going to be looking at it, to see when do we have to give them notice that, that we're no longer interested in having their services, and we want to make sure we
It's in there.
we
Somebody else could do.
we want to make sure that if for the equipment that we sold them, that there was a buyback. There was a buyback that we could, buy back that equipment.
That's right.
Most
So,
of you don't want it anymore. They've destroyed everything.
You know,
all right. Well,
we're just finally.
The Tomcat machines that they did not buy because they want to pay for them, they used them and ruined them.
We,
what's a Tom? What's a
The form scrubbers that we bought, the ones were like $9,000.
Yeah.
One of them's
So how do they-
here, so.
I think
so-
we gotta have
How do they
plan,
get
but I
authorization to
think
use them?
We also have to have a contingency of, we're going to send them notice. We better have someone lined up
Right.
in an emergency.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's not time to send them notice now, yeah, you can't. We'd have to get the.
Well, their
some of these
contract
other
runs
things
through
done.
the end of the
Next
school year.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think we got to get rid of them, but I think we also have to talk
We need to put the RFP
a
out,
backup
Right.
plan.
maybe
Right.
sooner than later.
Sooner.
Because I think if we withhold payment because they didn't do their
They
job,
just won't show up.
right?
Brian's,
How would you know the difference?
He's got the
You're right.
RFP.
You wouldn't know.
yeah,
I agree.
we just got to tweak it.
We
And
just
once they
gotta
find
tweak it
out
for
that they're gonna be
current
gone
and
anyway,
send it
they're
out.
not gonna produce anything anyway, so.
Right.
Okay.
So we
They
can
did
have it ready
receive
for
Mike,
the
did
key
anybody-
cores for the rekey at the high school. So we're going to do that like the third week of September.
Does that include that door that Mr. Spores had mentioned that the mechanical part of it, the lock is damaged or missing? I saw that there's on the doors. I was like, I wonder if they were doing that redo, they missed one and pulled the stuff out and never put it back in.
It's possible that happened,
Yeah,
or
it's
we
on-
might have
it's on
moved it. We
Aaron's-
might have moved it for another door if it was a door that wasn't being used.
Aaron had it on his list. That's what.
I know there's one that I pulled the core out to check it, and all the mechanicals fell inside of it. I put a work order in 8 months ago for that. Maybe that's the
blaming
one
you,
he's
though.
talking about.
We're blaming you.
You can blame me. It's possible it's the one I took out, but I couldn't put it back in. All the junk went inside the door.
So you took the door off and checked it and get
No, I just said, guys, fix it.
Okay.
Anybody
Is
hear
there-
from Mr. Thompson?
No, have we seen anything as far as a, okay.
No.
That's a good point. Can we send Mr. Thompson a reminder? We'll see where he's at with our bid information. Thank you, Mr. Strobel. Anybody else have anything? And it's 7:17, and that concludes the Facilities Committee.